He said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't think you can win. What do you say?
It's one thing to toss a friendly jab at a politician you like. It's another to roast him alive on national television. And that's exactly what Bill Maher just did. A guy who once praised Gavin Newsom is now ripping into him with a heat you could practically feel through the screen. Maher, famous for his venom-laced humor and surgical timing, didn't just critique Newsom, he went for the jugular. On his latest episode, the late-night host dismantled Newsom's record in California. No sugarcoating, no soft landings. For someone long treated as the Democrats' golden boy, the takedown was brutal. And let's be real, when even your loudest supporters decide they're done covering for you.
Gavin Newsom is the governor of California, home to 12% of all Americans and 50% of all Mexicans. On the upside, Newsom is the only governor, with the possible exception of Kristi Noem, who looks like they could do porn.
The warning signs stop being subtle, so buckle up. Because if Maher is officially tired of the circus, he's almost certainly not alone. Did Bill Maher really just imply that the peak of Gavin Newsom's legacy is looking like a guy built for the adult film industry? That's not a jab. That's a full-force haymaker from someone who used to hype him up. Imagine running one of the most powerful states in the country, only to have your greatest achievement reduced to your appearance. Brutal doesn't even begin to cut it. This wasn't just comedy. It was a public unmasking.
I don't want to say he really, really wants to be the guy who steps in if the current nominee goes down, but he gets an alert on his phone every time Biden can't think of a word. The downside is that governor of California is kind of like being conservator for Britney Spears. They'll attack him on California's homeless problem, but there's a response to that. The homeless can live anywhere, but they choose California.
For years, Newsom has showcased his so-called wins, but Maher sliced through the packaging with one savage line. And when the people who once cheered you on start roasting you this hard, it's more than a sting, it's a warning flare. Because here's the truth, if you can't even hold on to your fans, what chance do you have of convincing the rest of the country? California has practically laid out a welcome mat for homelessness. And why wouldn't people flood toward a system that seems built to sustain it? The policies don't just tolerate the crisis, they practically amplify it. Under Gavin Newsom, the situation hasn't been controlled so much as it has spiraled. Sidewalks have become tent grids. Entire blocks resemble makeshift encampments.
First, the knock on Gavin has always been that he's slick. Yeah, you know what? I'm okay with that. I notice slick is something no one has been accusing Biden of lately. Do you want good at talking or don't you? Newsom is the best communicator in the party with a history of standing up to bullies, and his name lends itself to the best slogan since I Like Ike. I'm having Gavin.
And a state once held up as the American dream now feels like a warning label. But let's be honest, this isn't compassion. It's disorder dressed up as empathy. Instead of implementing tough, workable solutions, Newsom's approach has created conditions ripe for further decline. And layered on top of that is a justice system critics say has gone soft, seeming to prioritize offenders while leaving victims feeling abandoned. Break the rules, get a lecture, and a light penalty. That's the perception of California's brand under Newsom. The outcome: rising homelessness, rising anxiety about crime, and a shrinking quality of life.
Yesterday, with my friend Tavis Smiley. I'm an investor and a supporter of that station. And he said, who do you want to run for president? I mentioned, I think you'd be good at the job. Not this year, we know. No, I know. But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't think you could.
That's not leadership. That's a system buckling under its own contradictions, at long last. Bill Maher is voicing what many Californians have been shouting for years. Gavin Newsom may look like the perfect politician, but beneath the polished exterior, there's not much substance. Yes, he's smooth. Yes, he's charismatic. But behind the charm sits a pile of unanswered questions and unkept promises. Maher didn't mince words. He called out the reality that eloquent speeches don't reduce crime. Charisma doesn't build affordable housing. And polished press conferences won't stop businesses from...
The swing state, there's only 8 of them.
Right. Well, I mean, California's an interesting case study, isn't it? It's the size of 21 state populations combined.
Yeah.
2/3 of the state is very deeply red. We don't need to be lectured on rural politics or border issues. I mean, in so many ways, these are familiar issues, and the issues of the heartland of the United States are very much a part and parcel of the work we're doing in this state. But look, I understand this notion that you're from the coast, you don't understand those things. You can't talk the language. You're not able to communicate, and you're not able to actually encourage and find that common ground.
It's stuff like there's a new law in this. I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about. And this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department.
Yeah.
Stuff like...
From packing up and leaving the state, Californians don't need more theatrics or poetic monologues. They need concrete results. And here's the turning point. When someone like Maher, who once admired Newsom, starts losing confidence, the rest of the country should pay attention. Because if this is the model of leadership California is exporting, America definitely doesn't want a sequel. Let's be blunt. Anyone paying attention can see why. Gavin Newsom's presidential hopes look shaky. After the turmoil California has faced under his watch, his record isn't just troubled, critics call it disastrous. Businesses continue moving out. Families are relocating in search of stability.
Too much government there.
That's an interesting one because the department stores came to us supporting that. And they were the ones making a case for that. They were making a case they're already moving in that direction.
Wanted you to make a law about them?
Well, but they supported the legislation. It wasn't legislation that was enacted, that was initiated from my office, but it was legislation that came up with interesting support from the industry itself. But I understand how that's exploited, and good people can disagree. But that's not something we woke up and said, this is a top priority for the state, when we know what the top priorities are: homelessness, housing, the issues of crime, quality of life, and issues related to regulation and taxes, which are all top of them.
And the middle class is being squeezed by soaring costs. A state once known for opportunity now feels too many, like something people are trying to escape. And here's the twist. Frustration isn't coming from Republicans alone. Even some Democrats have grown uneasy, saying Newsom's approach feels too extreme, too risky, and too far removed from the everyday struggles of ordinary residents. When your own side starts questioning your direction, your national ambitions hit a wall fast. No amount of slick messaging or eloquent speeches can bury those concerns, because the question practically asks itself.
And good job this year making it rain.
You're welcome.
That was my legislative priority.
It was looking bad there for a while, and we still don't have enough water in the Colorado River and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then whenever I read, 80% of the water goes to agriculture. Almonds.
Right.
No one ever asked you about almonds? Oh, I'm going to ask you about almonds.
If you're struggling to steady your own state, how can anyone trust you to lead an entire country? This is where Bill Maher really nailed it. The problem isn't just homelessness or crime. It's the never-ending culture war spectacle that Newsom has championed from day one. Californians are worn out. Voters across the country are tired of identity politics being woven into every corner of daily life. And under Newsom, California has become the epicenter of it all. Take just one example Maher highlighted: the law requiring large toy stores to include a gender-neutral section.
Well, a boatload of almonds.
I'm well
here.
aware.
You know how much water it takes?
Many gallons.
1,900 gallons to grow a pound of almonds. Come on, man. Take on big almonds.
Take on big almonds.
I mean, it's not like we don't have the water.
No. You're right about it. It's not that we don't have the water. That said, the last couple of years were tough. I mean, but it's also where the water's falling and we're not capturing it. And we're not capturing those extreme years with these atmospheric rivers. Wets are getting a lot wetter, dry's drier, hot's getting a lot hotter. And so we've got to modernize our conveyance system. We've got to modernize our storage, not just above ground, but below ground. And so that's a big part of our focus and frame, including desalinization plants. We have 20 projects just on desal that we're working on today. So we put out a detailed water strategy that includes, by the way, getting that Delta Conveyance project back up and operational, and includes the first above-ground off-stream storage facility in half a century in the state, which, by the way, is being aided by a regulatory package I pushed forward to reduce red tape in the state of California.
In a state overwhelmed by homelessness, poverty, and rising anxiety about crime, lawmakers are busy regulating toy aisles. You couldn't script something more out of touch. It's tone-deaf. It's baffling. And it shows just how disconnected Newsom's California can feel from the problems people are actually living with. This isn't leadership, it's theater. And voters are running out of patience for the show. And that right there is Newsom's biggest move, the smooth talk. He never pretends the problems don't exist. Everyone sees them: rising homelessness, anxiety about crime, soaring costs, and businesses choosing to leave.
You're good at this.
What?
See, I'm telling you, you're good at this job. Okay, but here's, I feel like the last couple of years you've purposely picked this fight with the red states. I mean, the DeSantis. Yeah, but I don't want to live in the Civil War.
I agree with that.
You know what? But you seem like you purposely want to set up this dichotomy between, this is a blue state and that's a red state. Yeah. And I don't want to live in that country. I like Florida.
I'm with you. And by the way, I like Florida as well. I like all these states. I completely agree. I don't want to have a state of mind that's a constant fight or flight. We've gone through so much. We've been polarized and traumatized. It's been a tough 5-6 years across the globe, not just in this country. That said, I'm not going to sit back and watch. You made the point just a moment ago in your monologue. You got folks out there trying to bring us back to a pre-1960s world. America in reverse, rolling back voting rights, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, not just access to abortion, but